Welcome back, YouTube, with another video. So today I'm going to be breaking down how I got into identity access management. So identity access management is a field of cybersecurity, so it's a niche, very, very, very niche, very small. But essentially, how I got into identity access management was simple but yet complicated. Everything I'm going to say is going to make it sound simple, but sometimes is a lot of work and effort and dedication went into it. So where it all began for me was just when I first was trying to get into cybersecurity. Uh, I didn't know what I wanted to do in cybersecurity. It's such a broad area. So I looked at the certification called the CISP, the CISSP. I don't know what it breaks down into, but it's called the CISP. So CISP has eight cybersecurity domains, and so at the time I was a support engineer, or aka on my resume, I am engineer. Uh, so at the time when I was a support engineer, I looked at the SIS and I saw all these different domains, and I was looking at, okay, what is the domain I have the close work experience to currently? And so after looking over all the eight domains, and the main thing that stood out to me was identity access management, because I did a lot of work with Azure at the time. So all that work with Azure was creating identities, um, adding groups, and groups are connected to different permissions and giving out different Microsoft licenses. So a lot of stuff I was doing just kind of pertained to that, just more so. First, I had to Google what was identity access management to, get a bigger picture, better picture for me. But so once I figured that out, I'm like, okay, identity access management is what I want to go for. So along the lines of, okay, let me now that I know that I wanted to go for that, so it came along the lines of, all right, once you got your goal set, all right, I'm trying to become a IAM engineer or IAM analyst. IAM engineer, analyst, and engineer titles are always interchangeable. I don't. That's one of my little side note. That's like one of my pet peeves with a lot of job titles or roles, and they're like, or talking to recruiters. So like, were you an analyst or engineer? And companies don't really distinguish the two between an analyst and engineer. Yes, there are a difference between analysts and engineers, but engineers do more, do some more coding, more infrastructure, more analysts kind of do more daily tickets coming in through. But some job title, when you look at certain jobs, job descriptions, like they'll have an analyst, but it has describing work of an engineer. So some companies use the title interchangeably. So in a sense, it doesn't matter, but at the same time, it matters because there's levels to it. So for me at the time, I was just trying to get into a analyst role. So one of the biggest tips I had learned from this a YouTube channel called Textual Chatter, and so his name's Henry. And what I learned from him from watching his videos was, if you're going for the role you're going for, if you have experience that applies to it, go ahead and change your job title to match that. So that's what I did. So my role before, I was a support engineer, I was a help desk specialist. So I changed that to junior IAM engineer. I mean, junior IAM analyst. And then I changed and in my current role, I changed it to IAM engineer. So I was doing engineer work. I was a support engineer, but I just the support put IAM, and then help desk role put junior IAM analyst. Because even in my help desk role, I was dealing with IAM tools like Okta. I was doing password recovery. If anything, I didn't do typical help desk troubleshooting. If anything, I was part of the password recovery service team, which helping people get logged in, handing out RS, not handing out, but helping, help with authentication with RSA tokens so people can get connected to the work VPN back when I was at Wells Fargo. So I did a lot of identity access management work. And so it was just easy translation. So we're like, hey, let me just swap my job title and then let me redo my resume to where it reflects, hey, I was an IAM, I was IAM and junior IAM analyst, right? So I can speak to all the identity access management stuff I did while I was there. So at my time in my current role, when I was a support engineer, changed that role to IAM engineer, and I changed my resume to everything that speaks to IAM, everything that speaks to IAM, which IAM is really, it's all about identities and access. Okay, are you essentially, if you have any experience creating identities, so that could be person or non-person identities, which there's a difference between a person, non-person identity is a person is an actual human being, so that's a person thing, a living, breathing person that has the actual account. So that counts as a person identity. A non-person identity is pretty much creating bots. So if you're creating a bot account, meaning like what we call it is a service account, right? So which these are bots that are you can sign into and assign them a purpose or whatever you need to do with them, right? So a service account, is for logging, maybe logging into a web server or to do certain functions. But these service accounts have specific functions. They're not actual people like person identities because they get a different set of access. So those would be non-person identities. So whether you have experience creating person or non-person identities accounts, you've got experience with groups, creating groups, disabling groups, deleting groups, adding groups, assigning different group access to different things. So I can speak to when I was in my role as a support engineer, aka IAM engineer. The groups were very important because I was also the SharePoint admin. So I was over the SharePoint, and the SharePoint holds documents and important files, and there's a lot of sensitive information in there. Especially it was PHI, personal health information too, because our client was in the medical industry. So with that PHI, it's very sensitive information, so there's only need to know, and not everybody needs access to different things. Everybody needs access to what they need access to. So adding somebody to a group is very sensitive, especially I'm overseeing also the executives, so the CEO, the CFO, the COO, right? I have access to all their files and information too, that they're in their own specific groups just to have access to what they need, have access to what they need. So, right, so the groups I'm adding people to on Azure is very important because I don't want to give somebody read and write permissions to something they don't need read and write permissions to, or I don't need to give somebody read permissions to something they don't even need to see, right? So that's a big part of my role is make sure everybody is on a need to know. So that's what really gave me the bulk of my experience, the fact that I create identities, I manage the information they have access to, as well as certain little projects of where we did I could speak to how it was a fishing campaign. So I could speak to how I did a fishing campaign there. I hope to get that set up and I, hope oversaw it and monitor the fishing campaign, which if you don't know what a fishing campaign is, fishing is where you get those emails so what a phishing campaign is how you get like a phishing email where they're trying to fish for information, but so it's set up for company wide. You either going off a certain department, or you're just going on company wide phishing campaign to where you're sending out a fake email to try to steal credentials. So by if somebody click on the link, and so setting this fish campaign, of course, it's not anything malicious, but it's pretending to be a malicious threat actor to where it's sending out blasting out emails to different people all over company wide. So they click on the link, then they got to get training. So that's with me also working with the compliance team over there to help make sure to keep the company compliance and doing compliance trainings. So to help protect identities, so I can speak to helping protect identities as well as creating and giving access to different identities here, right? So the key thing is whatever you're going for. Like I said, this is videos about how I got into identity access management, but let's say you're interested into any other fields of cybersecurity, just think about what you've currently done that can relate and translate over to whatever field of tech that you want to go into. Yeah, so that's pretty much sums it up for this video. But as well as I'm going to leave a link down below to my Discord. So right now I'm currently working on making a Patreon Discord, so that should be up by pretty much by the end of this month, start of next month. So you can look forward to that. And within that Patreon Discord, I will be doing monthly group calls as well as giving extra sauce on LinkedIn, how to write resumes, how to job search, how to do interviews. And so I'll be having more in-depth videos, and as well as you'll be able to reach out to me more one-on-one within there to get, secret sauce behind the scenes of how I was able to become so successful within 2 years of just being in tech. I've already been working my way from IT to cybersecurity with already being in senior level roles. So yeah, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.